Hello, hello. Hope you can hear me. Um, Thank you for everyone who has joined me today. I'm going to try to make this fast. Yes, Sean, to answer your question, I am going live. um, I asked a question about a week ago. It was a poll, actually. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, and the question was, who hates Black men more, white supremacists or modern Black women? Comment below. And to be fair, I know that probably can sound like a ridiculous comparison or a ridiculous question to ask, but I did it for multiple reasons. But what was more surprising to me than anything was the results. I kind of had in my mind, um, I basically expected that we were going to have an overwhelming response of B, which was white supremacist. I just kind of assumed that that was going to be the majority answer, but that was not the case. Looking at the results, I have, almost out of almost 400 votes, we have 50% of people of men saying that they believe, Black men saying that they believe that Black women hate them more, hate them more, and have nothing positive to say. And then that's followed by 22% of white supremacists. And then the 28% of people were just like, this is a ridiculous question. Why are we even asking this? So, but I mean, that's 50%. I mean, out of 400 people, to me, that was a pretty alarming stat. So I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to talk about it. I'm curious why is there this idea or this understanding that Black women hate Black men, or to the point that they hate them more than white supremacists who literally have a history of killing and genociding the Black community. And so yeah, I wanted to talk about it. And just, I'm looking through some of the comments. I'm just gonna pull up because, like I said, I was actually pretty shocked at some of the things. Let me see. I saw some people saying, yeah, they work in tandem. They work together. Greetings. Thanks for those who are joining. And hey, if you are on, please get the likes up. Please tag people. Please send your comments. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say. I kind of want this more to be like a discussion, because I want to know why do you think, why out of a poll comparing Black women to white supremacists, why did Black women win as being the most hateful towards Black men? What do you think? Actually, you know what? I wonder if I can do this. If you guys are interested, I think there's a way that I can get you guys. I think there's a way I can get you guys to call on. I actually had a follower ask me that a few days ago if we could do a call on. So if you're interested and you want to answer the question, or you want to tell me your perspective as to why you believe Black women hate men or hate Black men more than white supremacists, let me know. I think I'm going to go and I will copy this in the board, because I actually really want to hear from you. I can't say that today I don't really have necessarily much of a I don't have much of a opinion on this. I'm really more interested just to hear from the audience, hear from you guys, and hear why do you actually think this is going on. If I just go through some of the comments on the poll, I saw some men saying that, okay, Black women, Black women and white supremacists have the same talking points. And to be fair, I did a video about this a few months ago where I ran across this article that was called it said Black men are the straight, I think it was the Black men are the white people of Black people, or something like that. Or no, it's a straight Black men specifically are the white people of Black people. And they basically compared Black men to white supremacists. And basically the whole premise of the article was that, yeah, Black men have terrorized the community. Black men have terrorized the community. Black men have, been aggressive. They've been abusive. They haven't been held accountable. They've been oppressive. They've been all these things. And the comparison was to white supremacists. And so I remember reading that article, and I was like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How can you blame a group of men or a group of people and claim that they are most oppressive when they have been the most oppressed? It didn't make any logical sense to me. There was a lot of anecdote in it, and there was a lot of feelings, and there was a lot of, to me, what sounded like situationships, but I didn't see any evidence to substantiate that that claim. But what was interesting was that article, I think it was on The Root. And there were like millions and millions and millions of people who had seen it. And it had been a well-known reference article. And actually the way I came across it was another popular social media channel that kind of had a similar narrative of here's why Black men suck. And I remember them asking a question, and I was confused. And so somebody on that particular social media post, they tagged me on this article and said, you need to read this article. This is going to help elucidate the point. And so I read through it and I'm like, oh my gosh, where are these claims coming from? How are we even able to substantiate these claims? Of course, there's abuse that happens. There's abuse that happens in all nationalities. There's abuse that happens in the Black community and the white community and the Asian and the Indian, like that happens all across the board. And in those communities, yeah, the men in those communities are arguably beating the women the most, and vice versa. Like you're more inclined to have an Asian man beating an Asian woman. So when you hear people go and say, oh, well, Black men beat Black women the most, it's like, well, duh, that's the case in every community. But that's not to say that all Black men beat Black women. And that's also not to say that women don't do it also. That's also not to say that it's like, a consistent thing. So, yeah, like I said, it was really interesting. And I want to talk about it. So it looks like we have somebody interested to share their perspective. Okay, let's see if I can get you on here. Also, guys, if you like what you see, please like, subscribe. You can also find me on CASHAPP, ChezCharde, or Venmo, ChezCharde. Send in any love, support. I really appreciate it. So let's get going. Hey,
what's going?
Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. We've talked before on Instagram, Kevin.
Yes, we have. Well, thank you for hopping on. It's been the last month or so for me has been actually the last 2-3 months has been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kind of wedding and everything. So.
Yeah. You married and please forgive me. You married a Angolan or not an Angolan, Cameroonian. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I know we've been talking about getting together, and it's just I'm literally just within the last week or so, like trying to get back into the swing of things. So
okay. Did you guys get married in Cameroon, or did you guys get married in the States?
We got out in the States, and then we honeymooned in Zanzibar. So I'm gonna share more about my experience in Zanzibar later on. It was absolutely amazing. Okay. But for the purpose of this topic, as I was mentioning earlier, I did a poll. And I asked, my community, okay, who do you think hates Black men more, white supremacists or Black women? And again, I was so surprised to see that there is an overwhelming response of people saying that they believe that Black women hate Black men more. I got it was about 50%. And so I was more like, why? Okay, why? Like, why are people saying this? I'm more curious.
Whoa.
I'm not going to say, either or, but I really want to hear. I want to hear from the community. I want to hear what's going on. Why is that a common, belief amongst Black men? Or is it not a common belief? Is it split?
I honestly have never heard of that before. Okay. If we just look at empirical evidence, which is reality, right?
Right.
Let's be completely honest. If that were the case, the Black race wouldn't exist. If Black women hated, I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening.
Oh no, I was just saying, and I never heard anything like this before. But I mean, I never heard the comparing of the two.
The comparing.
White men by nature have to hate Black men. I'm not saying all white men hate Black men, but I do a lot of race topics on my show as well.
Okay.
And by nature, we tend to stick to our own. And it's for survival purposes. Let's be completely honest. If I saw a little white boy and a little Black boy drown, in a lake drowning or unable to swim, I'm going to swim. And if I only had one person to save, I'm going to just naturally save the Black boy, because he looks like me, and not that I wouldn't want to save the white boy either, but I would definitely, if you've given me that option, I would go with the latter, or pick the Black boy.
Right.
So the thing of the matter is that if Black women hated Black men, our race wouldn't cease to exist. Obviously you are here, I am here. Billions. I think there's 1.2 billion people of African descent on the planet. So people are having sex. So if black women did not like black men, they wouldn't have sex with black men. You know, and to me, that is just the most absurd thing I've ever heard in my life. Now, is there problems within black culture? Absolutely. But there's problems within the white culture just as much as any other culture.
Right.
But the thing of the matter is that for people to without a doubt just answer that question as yes, black women hate black men more. It's the most absurd thing ever, because it's almost like giving credit to the white man. And again, I have white associates, I have white friends, but I let them know how I really feel, and I know how they really feel. If white men truly love black men more than black women, why is it that when you go to Amazon and go to their executive board and their board of directors, there aren't any black men? White men clearly, if white men love black men more than black women, you would see white men saying, you know what, we're going to hire you guys to be C-suite executives at our companies. We're going to put you guys at the forefront of all these unions and things of that magnitude. Right. Let's be completely honest. You know, I'm not saying that black women wouldn't throw me under the bus, but let's be completely honest. A white guy is going to hire his own kind before a black person. I've been in situations where black women have said, hey, look, have pulled my coat and said, hey, I could get you into this company right here. Hey, I can get you into this opportunity right here. Hey, I could do this for you. Whereas I've never really gotten that from white people. Now, I will admit, in terms of when I started my own business, whites, for the most part, have been more of my customers or clientele. But in terms of like pulling my coattail and giving me information, it's really been black women. So no, I don't think black women hate black men more than white supremacists. I don't see how that even possible. If I'm making any sense to you.
Okay, no, that makes total sense. And like I said, I here today, I more wanted to hear from people, because I would say a little bit shocked. Now, I would be amiss, I think, if I was to say that there certainly isn't a stream, or there isn't a community of people within the black community who hate black men. Like, they obviously exist. There's obviously money to be made off of promoting a narrative that black men are horrible. That's been going on for decades now. So I do know that exists. And I also think, and I mentioned this in I think the podcast I did a few days ago, that sometimes I think because the most unhappy people tend to be the most vocal, it sometimes can create a little bit of hyperbole, or create this idea that like, oh, there's an overwhelming amount of people who think or believe this way, when in actuality, it may only be a small percentage. They're just so vocal. So I'm like, okay, is this it? Is it just that, we have the most angriest people being the most vocal, or is this a real sentiment among the community? So, it's interesting to hear your perspective on this. I definitely appreciate you calling on. I think it looks like I have someone else. Oh, it looks like you just hopped off. Okay. Looks like I had someone else join.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
you want to keep me up, or?
No, it's fine. Yeah, I can keep people along. It looks like you just hopped off. But if you guys are interested to call in, for those of you who just joined, please get the likes up. Please comment or tag anyone. We are talking about. I have a question for you. As I mentioned.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned earlier. Oh, dark-skinned black woman? That DSBW, Charles, I think Irby, is dark-skinned black woman. But just to kind of, bring you guys in look, those who have just hopped on, I created a poll about a week ago, and
that's what DSBW means? Okay, I didn't know what it meant at first. Okay, I wasn't. Okay.
Yeah, that's what that stands for, dark-skinned black woman. Yeah, and so I have a few people asking what we're talking about, and so, and so the question was, okay, who hates black men more? Is it white supremacists or modern black women? And I was really surprised at the response, because 50% of voters, and it was about 400 people who voted, but 50% of voters said that they believed that black women hated them more than white supremacists. And so this is what we're discussing today. I want to know, what do you think? Do you believe that black women do hate black men more or not. So this is what we're just having an open discussion. I don't really have much to say in the topic, at least as of right now. I just want to hear why people came to that conclusion. So thank you so much for hopping on, Kevin. I think it looks like I have another caller, so I'm going to see if I can get him on and we can continue the conversation.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
I'm sorry. I'm just peeling this line. If I keep looking back and forth, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries. Okay. We'll talk later. Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I just wanted to comment on the topic here about why dark-skinned black women pretty much hate black men. There seems to be a disinformation campaign going on. If you just go around, the YouTube spaces and Black Twitter and whatnot, there seems to be a campaign going on as to, I guess, black men are lazy, black men don't compete, black men aren't succeeding, which if anyone has an ounce of intellect or brain, they can see that that's not true. The statistics and numbers, they all show that black men are being very successful out here in society. And it just seems that that campaign, along with, you can say, feminism, is pretty much out to get and destroy the heterosexual straight black male.
Interesting. This is not the first time that I've heard this. And to kind of, answer, because I had a few people ask, like, why would you even make the comparison? The reason I even asked that question was because I started to hear from, people like you who were starting to feel ostracized. Like, I've actually, I'm out in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I know a few, currently a few people who are attending UC Berkeley, which is a very, well-known, accredited university, highly ranked. And I've talked to a few black men there, and they've kind of shared these sentiments where it's just like, we come in a space and we are consistently attacked. We're told we're this, we're told we're that, we're told we're that, and we're not doing anything but just existing. And, I'm talking to these would be leaders in the space, right? These would be black men who are, the next, venture capitalists or business owners or, engineers or doctors. Like, these are the thought leaders. And they're telling me, I'm feeling attacked. I'm having black women attack me while I'm here. It was interesting. And like I said, I started to hear this more and more. And so that's why I wanted to present the question, because unfortunately, as I said, this was not the first time I started to hear from, men such as yourself say, why is there such this bad narrative? Where is it coming from? So it's interesting that you say that. So then in your perspective, would you say that it's just the media really playing off of this idea, or that there is a general sentiment among the black community that black men are lazy, that black men are this? What would you say regarding that? I guess regarding that breakdown.
Honestly, I would say that there is a general sentiment among black women that, excuse my language, that for whatever reason, they feel like us black men, we aren't shit. And I don't, and I find that funny, because if you just take a look at society, black men, sports, entertainment, music, fashion, black men, we are it. We are the cream of the crop. And I just don't see how black women can have so much disdain for us, when if you just go outside, take a walk outside, look at society, you'll see that black men, we are the standard bearers. We move culture, we move society. And I don't see where this hate comes from. White women praise us, white men, they praise us as men, because, we see eye to eye from a male standpoint. Latino women, they love us. But I don't see why our own Black women are the ones that despise us and have so much disdain for us.
Right, right. Well, and that's, as I mentioned earlier, first of all, for those who have hopped in, please, thank you, first of all, for joining the conversation. Please get the likes up, tag anyone on here that you think may like it. And we're trying to answer the question, who hates Black men more, modern Black women or white supremacists? And this is what we are discussing. So to your earlier point, and your name is Sean, correct? I think I see that on the. That's your name, correct, Sean?
Yeah, Sean. That's my name. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
to your your earlier point, as I mentioned, also, part of me feels as if, the angriest people and the most upset people tend to be the most vocal. That's in anything. Even let's say you go to a hotel. If you have a good situation, then you don't really say anything. But if you have a horrible situation, you're treated like trash, you find bed bugs, you're a lot more likely to be vocal and say something. And so sometimes I feel like the angriest are the most vocal, but I'm not always sure if that is a clear indication of what's actually going on in the community. Because, to the earlier point that I think Kevin made when he called in, there's still, people are still coming together. People are still making babies. Black people are still intermarrying are marrying each other more than anyone else. And so certainly if hate was that serious, then we wouldn't be here. So is it like, okay, is this a growing sentiment that Black men or that modern Black women hate Black men? Is it a growing sentiment, or is this, the media really kind of capitalizing on this idea? Or is it a real thing, And so those are some of the different things I've been really trying to get down to the bottom to, as I'm talking to people, as I'm seeing what's happening. But you are right. You are absolutely right that there is a lot of stuff going out, that there's a lot of things being pushed, and it's like, why is this even happening?
And one thing that I because anyone can see that there's a gender war going on pretty much between men and women overall. And I would say that it's really bad between Black men and Black women. And just looking at this gender war, one thing that I've noticed is ideologically, Black men and Black women, we are really, really different. Like, I have really picked up on this, and I'm like, wow, because you can just look at politics. Let's take politics for example. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the last election, last year, I believe something like 98% of Black women voted for Joe Biden, and I think something like only 80% of Black men voted for Joe Biden, which it's a high number, but that's kind of a somewhat of a significant gap. And if you just expunge on that and think about it, like that tells you that there is a stark ideological difference between the two of us. And I think now that it's coming to surface and the chickens are coming home to roost.
Right. Yeah, no, I think you make a good point. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. Looks like I have another caller or two. But yeah, I appreciate you joining and sharing your perspective.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You take care.
All right, you too now.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi there.
Hello. Hello, how you doing today, Miss Charde?
I'm good. And yourself? Can
yes,
you hear
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I was having a little technical difficulties here.
No worries. So what do you think about the topic?
Well, I was just I'm a subscriber to your channel, and I was just joining in, so I wasn't privy to the topic right at this particular moment.
No problem. Well, I could just bring you up to speed. First of all, to those of you who have just hopped on, also please get the likes up, tag anyone on this conversation you think may like it. And just to circle back, so I did a poll about a week ago, and I asked the question, who hates Black men more, white supremacists or black women? I know it seemed kind of like a ridiculous question, but I was going somewhere with it. And so I was actually surprised. I was surprised at the feedback. And it was I had about 400 people vote, and 50% of people said that they believed that modern black women hated black men more than white supremacists. And I'm like, this is crazy. And so I wanted to have a discussion on it. I wanted to see, why are people feeling that way? Where is this idea coming from? Like, what's behind this? And so I want to ask, do you think modern black women hate black men more than white supremacists? Or do you think that's a ridiculous question? Or what are your thoughts on the topic?
Well, my personal opinion, I don't think that modern black women hate black men as much as white supremacists, but it is a percentage of women out there, black women, that have a deep disdain for black men, and it seems like their voices are being heard more throughout media and more throughout social media. I've even seen pages, the divestment pages, where women in their background would have black men hanging from a noose.
Oh God.
And they will have black women swinging on the opposite side of the tree. I've saw multiple divestment pages saying black men are trash, black men are worthless, they're useless. So I do believe there's some women out there that really do hate black men, and I do believe that there's some YouTube channels out there that they may not hate black men, but they're willing to capitalize off of that to build their channels. And I mean, well, when you look at the media, because I hear women saying that black men are disparaging black women, and that's true to an extent. I mean, you have those idiots within our group that does that, but when you look at what's been going on in the 80s and the 90s with the movies and various things, the talk shows always paint black men in a bad light.
Right.
And just like we're desensitized at a young age. Like, a lot of these women are saying why they don't call out men for any of that. Men have been getting called out for God knows how long. Like, and as much as we've been told we not nothing since we was kids, a lot of us, which you like, especially like, and when you're dealing with some of these toxic men and some of these men that have real issues, a lot of it comes from the fact on how they was raised. Sometimes they like to blame the father, but sometimes it's the toxicity of the mother that never is called out. It's the mother treating the son like he's worthless. They try to say that a lot of these, I've heard women on here say a lot of these women spoil their sons, but in the inner cities, based off of my experiences, it hasn't been that. I've seen women talk down to their sons. I've seen women just treat their sons like they was garbage. And guess what? When that son has insecurity issues, he go out into the streets and he take it out on other black men. Because when he look at them, he see a self-reflection of him, and he already feels like himself isn't worthless. So it's easier to hurt another black man based off of that. And also disparage and treat women poorly based off of how he was raised to an extent as well.
Okay. So yeah, so you think, or as many of us know, that there is obviously a community of women, just people. I mean, people in the community in general. This has been happening since slavery, where you had people who just self-hate. They hate themselves. They hate their mother, their father, where they came from, and so they, are pro-genocide. So
yeah, we have a lot of anti-black people out here too that we never seem to address. But I just wanted to say I appreciate your channel, because now I'm starting to see a surge of women like you, different other pro-black man women channels that are willing to actually stand up, because for a minute it was just like nothing but anti-black man channels on here. And black men is rough, because we're getting it from all sides. You're getting it from black women, you're getting it from white supremacists. I've even seen other minority groups. So it's like you're fighting a battle on all fronts.
No, that's real. It's interesting, because my husband, he actually, I think, did a lot as far as helping me understand what you go through on a day-to-day basis. Because for me, like, and I know a lot of this has to do with the algorithm. Like, for example, if I click, I don't know, a video of a baby eating, then I'm gonna start seeing all this stuff about babies. So I do know, like, an algorithm is at play as far as what we get in our news feed and what we get on social media. But I guess I had no idea how much how much content or how much of a community was out there who was just so hateful.
Yes,
You know?
and you wouldn't. I've actually watched channels where in the beginning they were pro black family and everything, and then over time they just completely did a 360 and went like anti black male based off of the actions of some, or they may had a bad personal experience, and then they just completely turned their channel towards being anti black male, and that's when my algorithm would mess up because I would be following these people, then
Right.
they'll go for it.
Right.
Before I know it, as months go on and time goes on, I'm like, and then you just see all of this stuff. But yeah, I've seen women on here, other black women calling black men bullet bags, and I can't wait for the cops to shoot all of them, and
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
it's sick.
to me,
It's sickening, and
sickening.
it's just like, and I wish some of those women would actually get called out as well, because that is just outright evil. That is outright evil. It's no different from if you have a person, in the city criminal, destroying our community. It's no different, except it's more verbally and psychologically. But I put them all in the same category.
Right. No, I mean, and there's, to be fair, I'm kind of at the point where certain people, they are just are mentally sick. And one of the downsides about social media is that any and everyone has a voice. I mean, the good thing is that any and everyone has a voice, but that's also a bad thing, because you have people who are sick and ill and need to be, or probably be in a prayer meeting somewhere, or in some doctor's office or a therapist's office or something, trying to get their life right. And they're on social media, like trying to teach people. And it's like, you're not okay. So, and those people, to the earlier point, I feel tend to be the most vocal. And so, what I don't like, I don't like any person being dehumanized, whether that's black
I
men,
agree.
black women, Asian, like men, Asian women. I don't like anyone, because I'm like, people are people, and people inherently have value. That's just me. I believe everyone inherently has value because they're a human being. So I do not like seeing anyone being dehumanized. It is just unfortunate that there's money to be made on dehumanizing, black men. So I appreciate you sharing, your perspective, and you just letting me know just where you're coming from. So I mean, so far I don't think I've heard it, which is good. I don't think I've heard anyone be like 100% all black women hate all black men.
No, definitely. Because if that was the case, how would we have women like you? How would we have women like Six the Goddess? How would we have women like Chantel Simone? Women like, various Danica Marie, women like that, Sister George. We wouldn't have those type of women if all black women hated, black men. But it's time for both, because we have rotten apples within our gender as well that we have to get rid of, because it's time for black men to stay on code, and for black women to stay on code, and for us to stay on code with each other. Because some of these black men that think that, white women love us and all of that, in my personal opinion, it's delusional. You may have certain white women that may try to get black men with resources, but that's primarily for the resources, or if they feel that they can't compete with getting the men within their own community, then they drift towards our community. I believe that some of us as well have let the media brainwash our way of thinking.
Oh, totally.
And even and with some of these delusional women who think that if they're going to go out here and I'm going to get me a white man actually care about us. Like, for instance, all colorism has been blamed on black men. Like, we just created colorism and decided to perpetuate. Now, I don't agree with any of those views or anything like that, but to act like that, like the same men that you're trying to run to, did not create the social concept on what's transpired within our community is completely, I just don't understand that at all. And then, a lot of these women are understanding that these groups of men are trying to keep power within the constraints of their community. So they're not gonna, it's not like you're gonna have all of these sea of black women that's gonna go over to white men, and all of their power is gonna be transferred over to black women, because that's the dominant society and various things like that. So I don't know where people get these illusions from.
I don't either, but and that you hit on another point. I mean, I think media by and large, it is tailored towards women. It's almost everything, like all television shows, movies. Of course, there's a sector that may, that may speak to men, but generally speaking, marketing, media, material, it's just geared towards women. And I don't know if that's just because historically women were at home more, they tend to buy more. I mean, I worked in corporate for a few years, and so I can remember creating mini campaigns where we were targeting, single mothers or mothers or women between this age. So it's like, it's well known that these companies are trying to get money from women. And so of course there's going to be messaging and certain things that are done to appeal to them for better or for worse. And pandering does happen. And so I think that that's to your earlier point, to the brainwashing and different things. I do feel, while all of us are subject to that, I do feel women, we tend to be a little bit more sensitive to that, just because there's so much media, at least mainstream media, that is tailored to us, tailored to what we want. Because at the end of the day, companies want our money, and they will tell us what we want to hear so that we open our pocketbooks.
And that's true. And also, I just wanted to cover one point, Ms. Charde, before you go to the next person. Also, you had historically, especially with what the last brother was saying with the Democratic Party, you've had Black women have received more tangibles within dealing with white men than Black men have. And Black men have actually received anything. And you have some of these women, they don't want to give up that power. They don't want to give up that power. So if that means sabotaging their own men to keep the little bit of power that they feel, even though it's an illusion, that they feel that they have, or various things that they feel that they get from the white power structure, then they're willing to do that. And it's important for us as Black men as well not to be afraid, because we have to start building with each other as well. We have to start looking into building up our economy, because a lot of us tend to become successful, and due to the fact of living in survival mode. And if you grew up within the inner city, some people just don't want to deal with the chaos that they felt that they've had to deal with, both Black men and Black women, once they become successful and they leave. And we have to realize that we have to go back and we have to rebuild with each other, and to be able to have an economic base. Because right now, the areas that we tend to, forget about, like if we grow up in the hoods, those areas are being gentrified now.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And then those are the same. Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just agreeing with you. I'm saying it's all over. I mean, it's like, I feel like everywhere I go, whether I'm in the Bay Area, if I leave, go to Texas, it's like it's everywhere.
yes, because I grew up in Chicago. I'm from the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
And I can remember, we don't have any more housing projects here, but the areas where we had our housing projects, which was similar to New York, big buildings, such as Cabrini Green, Robert Taylor, different housing projects throughout the city. Those housing projects have now been torn down, and they have been renovated into condos, and the area is gentrified. So when you would ride through these areas, and these areas was once gang-ridden areas with a high percentage of crime, shootouts, various things like that. And when you would see white people jogging through these areas and riding bikes, it will blow your mind. But a lot of people, we didn't understand that. For instance, Cabrini Green, the housing projects, was 5 minutes away from the Gold Coast, which is the downtown area of Chicago, 10 minutes walking. So they're taking these areas that are what's considered ghettos, and a lot of them was due to the economic disparities of different racial groups back in the day, and the racism, because they would put them in these areas because certain racist aldermen didn't want them in their wards, so they would place them in this area right here. Now they're realizing the mistake that they made, and realizing that area is prime real estate, and we can't even fight back because we have no economic base. So they're coming in and they're tearing down these areas that they once put us in, and they're gentrifying these areas and turning them into $1 million condos, and they're just placing us somewhere else. And now a lot of people are going out to the suburbs, where certain suburbs were working class or not, really high-end suburbs, but now they're turning into poverty-stricken areas.
Right. No, that's I mean, you just summed up the history of America over the last however many decades. So that's real. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate you giving your perspective. I'm going to move on with another caller.
Thank you very well, Miss Charde. I will make sure to donate to the Cash App and
Okay.
keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Okay, you take care. Bye. Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, man. I want to talk about this dynamic between black men and black women, right? So, the
Yeah.
topic is dark-skinned black woman hate on black men. Is that what these brothers is talking about?
Yeah. So just to bring you up to speed. So basically I did a poll about a week ago, and I asked the question, who hates black men more, black women or white supremacists? And 50% of the voters voted that they believe that black women hated them more than white supremacists. And so I was shocked. I wasn't expecting that. And so I just wanted to open up the call line and see why people are saying that. Where is that perspective, or where is that thought coming from?
I had actually voted for white supremacy.
Okay.
Okay, because I remember that poll.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, because I voted white supremacy because black woman ain't done half the shit, not even a quarter, not even 10% of the shit white supremacy has done to black men.
Now, do you mind?
So
do you mind keeping the language PG? I'm trying not to get banned.
Okay. I'm sorry. Well, black women have not done 10% of what white supremacy have done. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm not saying that a lot of black women are not suffering from a lot of internalized, anti-blackness. Mm-hmm. We have that in our community, right? But white supremacy has done to us way worse than black women have ever done. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? I love black women. That's one of the reasons why I subscribed to you. You was talking about black men and black women. And if you're a black woman that's about positivity, and you want to see black men and black women collaborate and form like Voltron and empower our community, then baby, I'm all for you. You hear what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I'm glad that you're having this live stream. I can't even be on here long because my phone is like at 2%. But I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna be that long. I want to be long, but I don't know how long I could be. Like if I drop off, that's because my phone died. No okay. Problem. But let me just say this, because I just wanted to say all that. Let me just say this, man. A lot of black, you got black women who do hate on black men, right? But see, here's the thing. We shouldn't focus on those black men, right? Mm-hmm. There's black women that love black men. I'm sure you love black men, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure you want a black man, right?
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, a lot of, even the black women that talk a lot of craziness, even those black women love black men for real. Okay? They really want black men, right? They're just talking out of pain and out of hurt. To the brothers in the chat, we have to keep it real, man. See, this is why the one reason why I don't like these conversations. Well, the one reason why I don't.
You there? It looks like your phone may have died. Well, thank you for calling in. It looks like I have another caller.
I guarantee you, none black men.
Oh, it looks like your phone's
okay.
Cutting.
Okay, you hear me now?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
hear me now?
Okay, vaguely. Yeah, looks like you're okay. You can continue to talk.
Right. But what I was going to say, I said, I'll guarantee you, none of those black men ever talked about how black men screw over black women. Black men do it all the time. You know, we talk about how black women hate on black men. Well, I mean, the brothers hate on their sisters a whole lot too. We hate on each other. That's got to stop. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that you have a channel. This is all about positivity, right? It's
Oh
all
yeah.
about positivity. Yeah, and
So we talk
I
a
hope
little bit about everything. So
right.
yeah.
So I hope your channel grows. And gets bigger. We need more balance in this space. I remember you was talking about the black woman and these spaces, these YouTube spaces, right?
Right.
Right. These space, it's full of. Listen, it is full of animosity on both sides. Black men, let's keep it real. Black men started it on here on YouTube. They started the nonsense, and then black women came. They just came back with the nonsense.
Right.
But we need to stop all the nonsense. Okay.
Yeah, agree.
So I'm going to need black men to acknowledge where they went wrong, and I need to also want black women to understand that white supremacy. Let's go back to white supremacy. White supremacy has done a number on us, right? We have drunken the poison of Western civilization and gotten sick from the effects of it.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
We have
thank you
all.
so much. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I have a few more people on the line I want to get to. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, you have a good night.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Here. Bye. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I saw what you were talking about, and I'm only gonna come up for a few minutes myself.
That's okay.
And I heard you say you basically kind of did a poll asking who hates. Well, what's the bigger problem for black men? Is it dark skinned black women or white supremacists?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just look at that as a very interesting way to ask that question. And the reason I'm gonna say that is because dark-skinned black women would be more of the population of black women. Black people. Sure, we were black. When you start talking about lighter shades of black folks, those are people with a little bit more white folks kind of mixed in somewhere up and down the line. So you're gonna have less of those anyway. So of course, if you start thinking about dark-skinned black women in comparison to light-skinned black women, the number is going to be bigger with dark-skinned women because you're going to be around more darker skin versus lighter skin anyway. But when you start asking, or when you ask dark-skinned black women in comparison to white supremacy, my thing is not, the question to me doesn't make sense because most black women are white supremacists. White supremacy is an ideology. It has nothing to do with what color you are as a person. If you buy into the ideology, you're a white supremacist. The same way if you buy into the ideology of being a Christian, you become a Christian. If you buy into Judaism, you become a Jew. If you buy into any particular type of religion or any mindset, you become that of what you buy into. Black women have bought into white supremacy from the majority on a majority level. So there is no difference at this point between white supremacy and black women. Now, if you ask our most white folks, at least here in America, are most white folks white supremacists? I wouldn't necessarily say that. You know, there's enough of them. I'm not saying there ain't none. There's enough of them. But a lot of white folks, they just kind of move about, try not to make no waves, take advantage of white privilege where it happens to be.
Mhm.
But they wouldn't say that they're a white supremacist, and they won't necessarily do actions of a white supremacist. But to separate white supremacy from black women, it almost sounds insane at this particular point. If you believe in white supremacy and you believe in oppressing black men, because that's what white supremacy has always taught when it comes to this particular country, you oppress black men, you oppress them in slavery. Once slavery came to an end because it had to due to economic situations, not like white folks ever got together and said, we want blacks to be free. It was just an economic dispute that could not be solved without slavery coming to an end. So nobody liked us from a general standpoint. We just happened to get free over economic reasons.
Yeah, no, that's fact. Yeah.
So black women, when they got to this country, they were trained to be white supremacists too. And they still are trained to be white supremacists. And the reason black women can be white supremacists pretty easy is because they don't really deal with the consequences of white supremacy. The consequences of white supremacy have always been aimed at black men. They get black women indirectly, but it's not directly aimed at black women. That's why you don't have black women in jail the way black men go to jail. You don't have black women serving prison sentences the way black men serve prison sentences. You don't have laws that come down on black women the way it comes down on black men. You don't have women getting shot in the street for no reason the way you have black men getting shot in the street for no reason. So black women pretty much participate in white supremacy. So how can we really separate them from something that they participate in heavily?
Okay. So then that's your position. Your position is that black women, by and large, have brought into white supremacy. So to separate them is just improper at best. It shouldn't be done because they're one and the same. That's the way that you see it.
No, it's not about the way that well, you can say that's the way I see it, but at the end of the day, you are what you buy into. Being a black person does not stop you from being a white supremacist. Yeah, we look at the way they use the child support courts, family courts, if you look at the way they call the police on boyfriends, they make up accusations against men, the way they hire and fire when they are in control of human resources. If you look at all the different things they do, how do you separate them from white supremacy?
Right.
Yeah, I'm not talking about people's feelings. Feelings don't mean nothing because you can feel a Chevy is a Porsche. That ain't gonna change it.
Yeah.
But if you're participating on a regular basis, how can you be separated from it?
Right. Okay. Yeah, no, I hear where you're coming from. Well, like I said, me tonight, I want to hear from everyone. I'm still formulating my own thoughts. I certainly know what you said is totally true, that there's definitely women out there and there's men out there within the community who hate themselves. I mean, that's obvious. And I also think that there's a lot of money to be made off of disparaging Black men. And for that reason, that narrative continues to be pushed. And it has been so for a long time. But as I mentioned earlier, I was shocked. I was shocked to see the results. And so, I'm just here to listen. So thank you for sharing your perspective or just, sharing your thoughts on it. I really appreciate it. It looks like I have one more caller I'm going to take, and then I'm probably going to wrap up the show. So,
all right, well, let me say one thing before I cut out, because I can understand why your results came in the way they did. Because if you're dealing with Black women more regularly than you deal with white folks, which by and large is Black people, there are certain cities we kind of live in, so we live closer together. So it's going to make sense that you're going to get those results. But we have to pay attention to the fact that if you grew up in America, until social media even became a thing, which is really became a thing about 7-8 years ago. There was people using beforehand, but it really became a thing about 7-8 years ago. Everybody in this country been taught to be a white supremacist. If you, well, not every single person, but just about every particular person, if you have went through public education, you were taught to be a white supremacist. If you watch television, you were taught to be a white supremacist. If you watch movies, read books and things like that, because pretty much all media until the invasion of the internet has almost always been 100% controlled by white supremacy. There's been a few on Black things here and there, Black folks had to separate themselves due to the Jim Crow era. But after that, stuff got bought up, stuff got sold out. People didn't shop at Black-owned places, and stuff went out of business. Most of our media and education has been controlled by white supremacy. So everyone was taught to be a white supremacist just about in this particular country. The question is just when you're going to break free from it. Men break free from it because we have to actually deal with the consequences of white supremacy. Women break free from it when they feel like it because they don't really have to deal with those consequences on a regular basis. So if we're going to make a progress as a people, we're going to actually have to deal with what the situation is. You can't change something that we won't acknowledge. And that's something Black folks just going to have to come to terms with, that we have been taught to be white supremacists. Sure, the men are going to change early because we deal with it, but women, by and large, are white supremacists. And if we won't act like they are, they'll change. But you have a great night.
You too. Thank you so much. Hello.
Hello.
Looks like it's okay. I wasn't sure if this was okay.
Hi, you there?
I am. So this is going to be my last call, and we've been on for some time. But yeah, what do you think about the question?
So I believe that the numbers basically reflect how people feel, but not necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
So I think that men, by and large, do not believe that Black women are white supremacists. But I feel like there's a sentiment going on right now.
Yeah.
That's been created over decades through what the last caller kind of mentioned, which is media, and specifically through The Color Purple, in my opinion, where we've demonized the Black man in this ahistorical kind of way, where in that movie we have a Black man in the 20s who always dressed in a suit, riding around on a horse that doesn't work and owns a plantation and rapes little Black women.
Right. Yeah, that's not historically accurate. That's a completely inaccurate depiction.
Right. But. And ever since then, now we've seen a move away from cooperation with the Black man, and I think that the pendulum is swinging back the other way, and it's at a detriment to the Black family because of that. So the reaction to women pulling back because of media has led to now a reaction from men that they feel hurt by Black women. And so we've got to figure out how to solve that. But we first have to come to terms with the point that it's all created outside to stop the Black family.
You know, yeah.
That's really basic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah,
and I mean, and to an earlier point that was made, which I totally agree. It's like to grow up in America, right? We all were taught certain things. So whether you're a man or a woman, it's like we've all heard, whether it's white supremacists or ideology, we've all heard it, in subtle forms because we grew up in America, we grew up in American education, American healthcare, so and all of that is built upon white supremacy. It is what it is. So it's like to be in America, yes, means that you have, to a certain extent, had to see whiteness as the norm, to see whiteness as a default is that in and of itself,
white supremacy.
Yeah. So
I agree.
We all have experienced that to a certain extent. Now, how that impacts us and if that creates self-hate and all those different things, that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I totally agree that it's like, yeah, there's no way you can exist in America and not have to deal and face with that. I think the question becomes, okay, at what point do you recognize, okay, this is what it is, but I'm still going to walk towards the truth. I'm still going to walk towards, a higher revelation and not let this, and like I said, when I just seeing the results and hearing what people were saying or why people were saying that was actually really surprising to me. And so this has been helpful to just hear different conversations. I guess the good thing is, of all the different people I've talked to, I haven't heard, I guess I haven't really heard anyone be like irate or angry, which is good. As far as saying, 100% of Black women hate us. They all hate us. Because there's certainly people out there who are just completely angry. But I've heard generally this idea of like, yeah, this happens. This is a real thing. But there are still women out there who do love us, but we may just not hear from them, and they may be harder to find.
Well, I mean, I feel like Black women have a love-hate relationship for a Black man at this particular moment in time.
I agree.
And I just to go back onto what the last caller had said about the Black women being all white supremacists and leaving out the Black man. I think that's also a problem that Black men have now, is where we're pointing at the Black woman for everything, and we're leaving out accountability for the Black man. And so when we listen to hip hop music, that's white supremacy music. Okay, I mean, so when he says that black women are white supremacists, but Black men aren't, it's kind of leaving us out, because we have many issues in America that where we are complicit in white supremacy.
Right.
Hip hop being one of them. The rape culture, where there isn't really a rape culture, but the culture of pedophilia in the Black community that gets swept under the rug, is a huge issue that is complicit with white supremacy. So we have many reasons to say that both Black men and Black women do take part in white supremacy and their antics. Now, whether it's on purpose or just because we've learned and been conditioned that way, that's another topic. And how we can resolve that, that's another topic. But just acknowledging what it is very important.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you calling on. This has been a very informative and interesting conversation. Thank you, everyone who has been so generous to, watch, comment, to call on. Again, if you haven't already liked or subscribed, please do. If you want to see more content like this and support, please, you can find me on CASHAPP or Venmo. You can also send in some super chats, some love. And thank you, everyone. So,
all right, thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. So again, like I said, this has been an interesting conversation. I'm not a Black man, so I obviously can't speak on this, as a matter of fact, because I will never have that experience. This is why I'm glad I was able to listen to some of you guys. I know it certainly doesn't, reflect the full spectrum of the full ideology amongst the Black male community, but this has been really helpful. I will say, just as far as myself, and I mentioned this earlier, like I genuinely love all people. And I don't like seeing any group of people, or any person for that matter, being, dehumanized or demonized, because I feel like every person has intrinsic value as a human being. And so, the purpose of my channel is, as I mentioned, it's a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle page. And so I'm going to talk about many different subjects, relationships being one of them, race being one of them. But I really do want to bring, uplifting content. And I also want to talk about real life issues and talk about, okay, what does this mean? How does this impact people? And how do we get beyond this? And so, like I said, I'm glad that we were able to just discuss, and you guys just share where you're at and share some of your perspective. And I appreciate your guys' time. So we will probably continue this conversation or similar conversations. If you have any other comments or things to share, definitely leave it in the comment section below. I'm going to wrap this thing up because we've been going on, I think, about an hour and 20 minutes. I think that's my longest stream so far. But thank you, everyone who's been a part of this, and we will talk later. Take care.